know very much this is a war weekend, and this work here.
No, it's just it's what's called ladder lettering.
Ladder lettering?
Yeah.
Or ladders?
Plenty of war alarms going on in the war, weren't there? You can see that now. If you blink hard, you can see the white letters appear, yes?
Oh. Yeah.
You see, we'll stand back a bit and you'll see it. Distance lends enchantment to the view, as they say. Anyway,
There's alarms there in that box.
that's it, she's cracked it. Now in the war scenario, air raid shelters were very much what people sought out, wasn't it, when Jerry was going over. But today in peace, I want to talk about different alarms that we encounter probably every day, and they make quite a bit of noise sometimes. One of them that is very, very popular today is house alarm.
Can you see now?
Why did they do that?
Well, it wants you to pay attention, that's what it does it for. It's to catch your attention, you see. That's why it does it
Why
this
do
way.
people invest quite a lot of money, at times, in house alarms? Because they are concerned that they don't get burgled. And the police tell us that it's not just professional thieves, but it's often young teenagers even, during the day, that are responsible for house theft. In fact, until recently, about every minute in Great Britain, one house at least was burgled, and very often, very little of it that was actually ever recovered. House alarms remind us of theft. You may say, well, that's very interesting, but I'm here minding my own business, I'm an honest citizen today, I pay my dues, what's that got to do with me? Well, you might not break into houses or cars, etc, etc, but the fact of the matter is that we've all robbed our maker of first place in our lives. Whenever we say, it's my life, I'll live it the way I think best, what we're actually doing is robbing God of his rightful first place in our lives. The first commandment is, you shall have no other gods before me, but whenever we put self first, we're actually robbing God of his rightful place in our lives, and we're actually robbing ourselves as well, because he's made us to have a relationship with him, not religion, but a relationship with him, which is wonderful. So house alarms remind us of theft. What about these type of alarms? Now, if you have a job of work, if you go into shops, if you go into libraries, tourist information, wherever public buildings are, they have to have a fire alarm. It's not an optional extra. Fire alarms are essential in any public buildings. Why do people have fire alarms? Because of human safety. And you have to have a fire drill every now and then. Schools, colleges, wherever, you have to have a fire drill. The fire officers tell us if that fire alarm goes off in any public building, you get yourself out of there as fast as you can and you leave your possessions behind. Did you hear that? You get yourself out of danger and you leave your possessions there. In other words, you are of far more value than your possessions. Did you know that? Yeah. You are far more valuable than your designer clothes, than your pension build-up, than your salary, than anything else that you have. You are of far more value because you have an eternal soul given to you by God. The fire brigade are quite right. Human life is far more valuable than possessions. Sadly, there have been cases where people have gone back to try and reclaim their possessions in a real fire, and some of them have died in the process. How foolish to think that your possessions are more important than human life. You know, Jesus says, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? You see, you are far more value than all your possessions than you can ever build up, because you have an eternal soul that will never ever perish. The question is, where's that soul going when you leave this life? So if the house alarm reminds us of theft and the fire alarm reminds us of human safety, what about this type of alarm? Now I'm sure you've got one of these. The alarm clock. Who hasn't got an alarm clock here? My life would be chaos without an alarm clock, because I'm quite a deep sleeper and I'd oversleep and I'd miss all my appointments. So an alarm clock is good for getting you up. You might not appreciate it at the time, but it does. You get up and then hopefully you can keep your appointments for the day, whether it's work appointments or social appointments or whatever. So a time alarm clock reminds us that we keep an appointment. Now there's one appointment that every one of us will keep. And it's not with our mates, it's not with a local social club, and it's not with a boss at work, but there's one appointment that every one of us will keep, and that is with God, because the Bible says it's appointed for man to die once, and after this, it's appointed for man to die once, and after this comes judgment, which means we'll have to stand before our Maker and give an account of our life. It'll all be taken into account, all the things we've done, all the things we've said, and all the things we've thought. God will require us to give an account of all that on that day. That personal interview between you and God. What will you do on that day? See, God's a holy God, and He can't allow any selfishness, any sin into heaven whatsoever. Heaven's a perfect place. And that, obviously, for some people should fill them with alarm. You think, well, how on earth am I going to get into heaven? Well, God has provided one way that we can be guaranteed to get into heaven. God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, that whoever believes on Him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. Jesus died on the cross to take the punishment, to take the judgment that you deserve, so that if you trust in Him, you can have a brand new life. And thousands of people have proved that the promises of God are absolutely true. They've trusted in Jesus, they've asked Him to take away their sin, and He has come into their life and made them brand new. So the question is, has Jesus made you brand new on the inside? Has He changed your life? Do you know for sure that if anything were to happen to you, your judgment will be passed, because Jesus paid it for you, and you can have a guarantee of heaven and peace with God? Only followers of Jesus can know that for sure. Well, I've got a leaflet here, and it's simply called Peace in Our Time. If you'd like to have one of these, it's entirely free.